English Civil War broke out between the parliamentarians and the royalists, so those who support the king and those who support Parliament. Is tried for treason because, he raised an army against Parliament and is beheaded. We call this act regicide. When we think about European monarchs losing their heads, I feel like we often think first in our brains about the French Revolution, which happened 150 years after the English Civil War. Also, there's a lot of regicide in English history. Anyway, Oliver Cromwell, yikes. After he dies, his son Richard rules for a minute. It wasn't going well, so England then asked Charles II, son of Charles I, to come back in. Charles II is often called the Merry Monarch because he undoes a lot of these strict puritanical laws that Oliver Cromwell had set up during the interregnum. He reopens brothels and pubs. He allows Christmas to be a thing again. He, unlike Cromwell, also favors religious toleration and tries to not make the same mistakes that his father did. He tries to keep everyone on his side and make sure that Protestants and Catholics are happy in England. Also, Charles is the monarch during the Great Fire of London and the Great Plague of London, which is a lot for a newly crowned monarch to handle in 2 years. Charles II ends up dying without a legitimate heir, so power transfers to his brother, James II. It's all the Charleses and Jameses in English history, so what you need to remember for this English Civil War before we move on is it's James, Charles, Charles, James. James I, Charles I, Charles II, James II. James II, real Catholic. England, not happy about that. But they're also not entirely worried about it until he has a son and they're like, oh my gosh, Catholicism could be entrenched here. We can't have that happen. So they call upon James II's daughter, Mary, who happens to be married to a guy, William of Orange. He is Dutch. This is a strategic, political, and economic move for England. They say, hey, William and Mary, would you like to come be dual monarchs now? And William and Mary say, yes, we would in fact like that. And this is the glorious revolution. James II, please. In order to justify this transfer of power, William and Mary signed the English Bill of Rights, which guarantees things for Parliament, like they have to have freedom of speech and also regular meetings. Kings can't just ignore the laws or arbitrarily arrest someone. Also, the monarch must be a Protestant and cannot marry a Catholic in England. Which is interesting because we often think about England as the exception to a lot of the religious conflicts that are happening on continental Europe. Easy for us to look at Spain or for us to look at France and think, oh my gosh, how dare they just declare this one religion has to be the only way. That's happening in England too. Anyway, James, Charles, Charles, James, James, Charles, Charles, James. Love the English Civil War. Hope that helps out.